In the heart of ancient Jerusalem stood the majestic temple, the very center of religious and spiritual life for the people of Israel. It was in this sacred setting that Isaiah, a young man from a noble family, experienced an extraordinary encounter that would change not only his life, but the entire course of history. As he entered the sanctuary, the air was thick with incense and reverence. Isaiah was completely unaware that he was about to witness a vision that would transcend all human understanding. His eyes, though accustomed to the temple's grandeur, suddenly beheld a celestial spectacle that made all earthly splendor seem insignificant. The veil between worlds parted, revealing a scene of indescribable majesty. There, the Lord, in all his glory, was seated on a high and exalted throne. His presence filled the entire space with a light so intense that Isaiah could barely endure it. The vision unfolded before him like a living picture of splendor and holiness. Around the throne, celestial beings known as seraphim hovered with supernatural grace. Each of these magnificent beings had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces in reverence, with 2 they covered their feet in humility, and with the other 2 they flew, ready to carry out divine orders. The song of these celestial beings echoed through the space, proclaiming, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of his glory." The sheer magnitude of this scene made the foundations of the temple shake. A cloud of smoke filled the place, symbolizing the tangible presence of the divine. Before such a manifestation, Isaiah felt completely exposed. The purity and holiness radiating from the throne starkly contrasted with his own human condition. It made him painfully aware of his insignificance and imperfection before the Eternal. Overcome by a deep sense of unworthiness, Isaiah cried out, "Woe to me, I am ruined. For I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty." This sincere confession marked the beginning of a profound transformation in Isaiah's life. Recognizing one's own imperfection is the first step toward purification and receiving a divine call. In response to Isaiah's cry, one of the seraphim flew toward him carrying a live coal taken from the altar with tongs. This act symbolized the divine initiative of purification, showing that holiness is not something we can achieve on our own, but a gift granted by God's grace. The seraph, with delicacy and purpose, touched Isaiah's lips with the burning coal. Though it might seem painful, the touch brought a sense of relief and renewal. It was as if every impurity, every inappropriate word he had ever spoken, was being consumed by the divine fire. The seraph proclaimed, "See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for." These words sealed Isaiah's spiritual transformation, preparing him for the mission that was to come. Isaiah's experience is a powerful reminder that spiritual transformation often begins with a personal encounter with the divine. This encounter frequently leads us to recognize our own inadequacy, not to condemn us, but to prepare us for a new phase of life and a greater purpose. The coal that touched Isaiah's lips represented not only purification, but also the start of his incredible journey as a prophet. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these profound spiritual truths. See you in the next video. Have you ever felt completely unprepared for a big task ahead of you? Like you're just not good enough? The prophet Isaiah felt that way too, right in the presence of God. His story shows us something incredible. Before we can be truly effective in our life's mission, we all go through a process of refinement. It's not just about cleaning up the words we say, but about transforming every part of who we are. Imagine this. Isaiah's in the temple, and he has this overwhelming vision of God's majesty. He's terrified, crying out, "I am a man of unclean lips." He felt totally unworthy. But then, something amazing happens. An angel takes a burning coal from the altar and touches Isaiah's lips, purifying him. This wasn't just some symbolic act. It was a deep internal cleansing. Instantly, the atmosphere in the temple shifted. The fear turned into a sense of awe and readiness. Isaiah, now purified and changed, was ready to hear God's call. The vision wasn't just a mind-blowing spectacle. It was a preparation for a mission that would change the course of history for his people, and ultimately, for all of us. This pattern isn't unique to Isaiah. Think about it. You see it all throughout Scripture. Moses at the burning bush, feeling inadequate to lead his people, Ezekiel and his wild celestial visions. Paul struck down on the road to Damascus, his entire life turned upside down. God often kicks off huge movements with these deeply personal, transformative encounters. It's a reminder that our greatest work often begins with our own profound change. Isaiah's story is a powerful invitation for us to look at our own lives. How often do we feel impure or just not up to the challenges we face? Isaiah's experience teaches us that this feeling of inadequacy isn't a dead end. In fact, it's the starting point. It's the moment we can open ourselves up to transformation and purification, which are available to anyone who sincerely seeks them. We don't have to be afraid of our imperfections. We can see them as the first step toward a life filled with real purpose and meaning. This divine transformation wasn't the end of Isaiah's journey. It was just the beginning. It was the prelude to a life dedicated to service. This experience gave him the spiritual authority and the rock-solid conviction he needed to face the tough road ahead as a prophet. That vision of God's throne and his own purification became his anchor. In the darkest, most difficult moments of his ministry, he could always look back and remember the power and reality of the God who called him. When the vision ended, Isaiah was a new man. It wasn't just his spirit that was transformed. His entire worldview had shifted. He now saw the world and his place in it through a new lens. He understood the immense majesty of the divine and, at the same time, the incredible potential for human transformation. He was no longer just a man from Jerusalem. He was a messenger, empowered and ready to share a message of hope, judgment, and ultimate redemption with the world. It's a living blueprint for how we can move from feeling inadequate to living a life of profound impact and service. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that dives deep into these timeless truths. See you in the next one. The vision Isaiah witnessed and the purification he experienced prepared him to hear and respond to the divine call he was about to receive. With purified lips and a renewed heart, Isaiah was ready to become God's voice to his people, a messenger of both judgment and hope in very turbulent times. This divine transformation prepared the ground for his prophetic calling, a crucial moment that would define the course of his life and profoundly impact the nation of Israel. After the purification of his lips, Isaiah heard the voice of the Lord echoing through the celestial sanctuary. "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" This divine question resonated not only in Isaiah's ears but deep in his newly purified heart. Without any hesitation, driven by a mixture of gratitude for the purification he'd received and a powerful new sense of purpose, Isaiah responded with the words that would define him forever: "Here am I, send me." His prompt and voluntary response marked the beginning of a prophetic journey that would lead him to confront kings, comfort the afflicted, and proclaim messages of judgment and hope to his people. Isaiah's calling was not for an easy or comfortable task. It was for a mission that would require immense courage, persistence, and an unwavering faith in the God who had called him. With Isaiah's acceptance, the Lord revealed the truly challenging nature of his mission. He was instructed to go to the people of Israel, a nation that had strayed far from divine ways, plunging into moral corruption and social injustice. The message Isaiah was to deliver was harsh: be ever hearing, but never understanding. Be ever seeing, but never perceiving. These enigmatic words indicated that the people, in their deep-seated rebellion, would hear the prophet's warnings but stubbornly resist understanding and change. Isaiah was warned that his message, instead of being received with gratitude and repentance, would often meet hardened hearts and deaf ears. This revelation must have weighed heavily on the young prophet, who now understood that his mission would not be measured by immediate success or popularity, but by his faithfulness in delivering God's word, regardless of how it was received. Isaiah's calling placed him on the front line of a spiritual battle. He was tasked to expose corruption, denounce injustice, and call the people back to their covenant with God. Armed with the heavenly vision and purified by the divine fire, Isaiah embarked on his prophetic mission, with zeal and determination. His initial proclamations were direct and incisive, bluntly exposing the religious hypocrisy and moral decay that had infiltrated every layer of Israelite society. "Woe to the sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity," thundered Isaiah through the streets of Jerusalem. His words cut like a sharp sword through the pretensions of piety. He denounced the corrupt leaders who oppressed the poor and the judges who perverted justice. Isaiah's message wasn't just about condemnation, it also carried a thread of hope. He spoke of a remnant that would be saved, a holy seed that would survive the impending judgment. This duality of judgment and hope became a central theme in his prophecies. He painted vivid pictures of a future where justice would reign and peace would flourish under the rule of a righteous king from the line of David. This messianic hope offered a glimmer of light in the darkness, a promise that God had not entirely abandoned his people, despite their unfaithfulness. Isaiah's ministry, therefore, was a constant balancing act between warning of imminent destruction and offering the promise of future restoration. His life became a living testimony to his message, faced opposition, ridicule, and persecution, yet he never wavered in his commitment to the divine call. He understood that his role was not to be popular, but to be faithful. He was a voice crying out in the wilderness of a spiritually deaf nation, a solitary watchman on the walls of a city rushing toward its own demise. His prophecies extended far beyond his own time, foretelling events centuries in the future, including the coming of the Messiah, his suffering, and his ultimate triumph. The book of Isaiah stands as a monumental work of prophetic literature, a testament to one man's courageous response to God's call and the enduring power of the divine word. Thank you for watching. If this story of courage and faith inspired you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our series exploring the great prophets. Today, we are diving deep into the life and message of one of the most powerful voices in ancient history, Isaiah. His words, written over 2,700 years ago, still echo with incredible relevance for us today. Isaiah's ministry began during a tumultuous time for the kingdom of Judah. On the surface, things might have seemed okay. Rituals were being performed, and the temple was active. But Isaiah saw right through the facade. He saw leaders who accepted bribes and priests who went through the motions of worship without any true devotion. His message was a thunderclap of truth. Outward religious acts without inner transformation are not just useless, they're offensive to God. Isaiah wasn't just pointing out problems, he was calling for a radical change of heart and action. He urged the people to learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow. This wasn't just a list of good deeds. It was an urgent plea for the entire nation to return to the core values of their covenant with God. But Isaiah's message wasn't all fire and brimstone. Woven into his warnings of judgment were breathtaking glimpses of hope and restoration. He looked beyond the immediate crisis and saw a future where justice and peace would finally reign. One of his most beautiful prophecies offers this incredible promise from God. "Come now, let us settle the matter. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow." This powerful offer of forgiveness and complete purification wasn't just for a select few. It was a reminder that this divine transformation is available to anyone who sincerely turns back to God. Isaiah even prophesied of a time when Jerusalem would be restored and called the City of Righteousness, the faithful city. This vision of a restored future served as a brilliant beacon of hope, sustaining the people through the dark and challenging times that were on the horizon. Being a true prophet meant Isaiah often found himself in direct conflict with the most powerful people of his day. He fearlessly confronted kings, priests, and the popular false prophets who told people what they wanted to hear. When King Ahaz was tempted to make a shaky political alliance instead of trusting in God, Isaiah stood before him, boldly challenging his lack of faith and even offering a divine sign to bolster the king's courage. While other prophets were promising peace and prosperity to keep the crowds happy, Isaiah stood firm, proclaiming the hard truth about impending judgment and the critical need for genuine repentance. His unwavering courage to speak truth to power, even when it was dangerous, proved the authenticity of his calling. Isaiah's integrity in the face of intense opposition is a powerful testament to the truth of his message. As Isaiah's ministry continued over the years, his prophetic vision expanded. He began to speak not just about Judah's immediate problems, but about God's grand overarching plan for Israel and for all the nations of the world. He spoke of a distant future where God would intervene in human history in a dramatic and definitive way. These are his famous messianic prophecies, visions of a coming king from the lineage of David who would establish an everlasting kingdom of perfect justice and peace. These prophecies offered a profound hope that transcended the political and moral chaos of his time, pointing to an ultimate solution and a future filled with promise. Isaiah's words painted a picture of a world renewed, a vision that has inspired hope for millennia and continues to resonate with millions around the globe. Isaiah's legacy is one of courage, truth, and unwavering hope. He shows us that true faith is untainted about outward performance, about a transformed heart that seeks justice and cares for the vulnerable. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as powerful as I do, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time. Isaiah painted vivid pictures of a future where the wolf will live with the lamb and where nations will beat their swords into plowshares. Isaiah painted vivid pictures of a future where the wolf will live with the lamb and where nations will beat their swords into plowshares. These visions went far beyond Israel's immediate problems, pointing to a divine plan for all of humanity. Through these prophecies, Isaiah didn't just warn and correct, he also inspired and uplifted his audience, invited them to look past their current troubles to a glorious future promised by God. Isaiah's prophetic calling wasn't just about words, his actions were powerful symbolic messages too. For example, following God's instruction, Isaiah walked naked and barefoot for 3 years. This was a living sign of the coming judgment on Egypt and Cush, nations that Israel was wrongly trusting for protection. This dramatic and humiliating act showed Isaiah's complete submission to God's will, even when it meant personal discomfort and public ridicule. He even gave symbolic names to his children, turning his own family into a living testimony of his prophecies. These acts grabbed the attention of a people who were often deaf to spoken words, vividly illustrating the truths God wanted to communicate. Isaiah's entire life became an embodied message, a living testament to the reality and urgency of God's word. Throughout his ministry, Isaiah faced deep discouragement. The people's continued rebellion and the persistence of injustice and idolatry must have weighed heavily on him. It often seemed like his message was having no effect. However, his initial experience in the temple, that vision of God's holiness and majesty, served as an unwavering anchor in his moments of doubt. When everything around him seemed to contradict his message, Isaiah clung to the certainty of that divine encounter. He reaffirmed his trust in the God who had called and purified him. This perseverance in the face of adversity and apparent failure is perhaps one of the most inspiring aspects of Isaiah's ministry. He continued to faithfully proclaim God's word even when it seemed no one was listening. He was confident that the divine word would not return empty, but would accomplish the purpose for which it was sent. Isaiah's message, though primarily for Israel, had universal implications. He spoke not only of his own nation's fate, but also of Israel's role in God's plan for all nations. Isaiah envisioned a future where the God of Israel would be recognized and worshipped by all peoples, where Jerusalem would become a center of spiritual pilgrimage for the entire world. As he prophesied, many peoples will come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths." This vision showed that God's plan of salvation was not just for one group, but for everyone. Isaiah's legacy is immense. His writings have been a source of hope and guidance for countless generations, not just within Judaism, but also forming a cornerstone of Christian theology. Christians see in his prophecies clear predictions of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The famous suffering servant passages are particularly central to Christian understanding of Jesus' mission. Beyond their religious significance, Isaiah's words offer timeless wisdom about justice, righteousness, and true faith. His life story is a powerful example of courage, unwavering faith, and dedication to a divine calling. Even in the most challenging of circumstances, his message continues to resonate today, calling us to a life of justice, to hope for a better future, and to trust in a God whose plans are far greater than our own understanding. Thank you for watching. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. Isaiah's vision was truly revolutionary for its time. He expanded the understanding of Israel's mission, taking it far beyond its national borders. Isaiah was laying the groundwork for a much broader comprehension of God's plan, one that would eventually include the redemption of all humanity. His prophetic calling placed him right at the intersection of the divine and the human, the eternal and the temporal. He became an interpreter of God's will for his people. But he was also a visionary who looked beyond the immediate horizon, envisioning how the divine plan would unfold through the ages. His message of judgment was always tempered with promises of mercy. His denunciation of sin was accompanied by invitations to repentance and renewal. Through Isaiah, God didn't just condemn the corrupt present. He painted a vibrant picture of a future filled with hope and restoration. The prophet thus became a beacon of light in dark times, keeping the flame of faith and hope alive when everything around seemed to conspire to extinguish it. His ministry serves as an enduring testament to the transformative power of a genuine encounter with the divine, showing how one person can change the course of history. Isaiah's words, recorded and preserved for us, transcended his immediate time and context, and they continue to resonate through the centuries. His prophecies not only shaped Israel's self-understanding as a chosen nation, but also provided an interpretive framework for understanding future events, including the coming of the Messiah. The sheer depth and breadth of his visions have inspired countless generations of believers, offering comfort in times of affliction and guidance in periods of moral confusion. Isaiah's lasting impact is a powerful testimony to what can happen when a life is wholly dedicated to a divine calling. His example continues to challenge and inspire us today, reminding us that any individual willing to be an instrument in God's hands can have an impact that echoes through the ages. As Isaiah progressed in his ministry, he became more than just a proclaimer of God's word. He also became an intercessor for his people. His fervent prayers, often expressed poetically in his writings, reveal a heart that was deeply moved by Israel's spiritual condition. He pleaded with God for mercy, even as he announced judgment, demonstrating the delicate balance between divine justice and compassion that defined his understanding of God's nature. This aspect of his ministry reveals the deep empathy Isaiah developed. He wasn't just speaking to the people on God's behalf. He was also crying out to God on their behalf. This dual-role prophet and priest, accuser and advocate, highlights the complexity of his calling. Isaiah's intercessions show us a model of leadership that combines unyielding truth with profound love. He refused to look away from the people's failures, but he also refused to give up on them. His prayers became a spiritual bridge, connecting a holy God with a wayward people, constantly seeking a path toward reconciliation and healing. This commitment to intercession adds another layer to his legacy, portraying him not just as a voice of divine authority, but as a heart full of divine love. Thanks so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these profound historical figures. We'll see you in the next video. Isaiah's prophetic calling was not just about delivering divine messages, it was about embodying them. He cried out to God on behalf of his people, showing how a true prophet doesn't stand apart from those they serve. Instead, he identified with their struggles and longings, actively seeking their redemption and restoration. This wasn't an easy path or an honor without a price. Isaiah faced rejection, ridicule, and even threats to his life. Jewish tradition suggests a grim end for him martyrdom during King Manasseh's reign, allegedly being sawed in half for his unwavering faithfulness. While we can't be certain of this account's historical accuracy, it paints a vivid picture of the dangers and sacrifices tied to the prophetic role. Isaiah embraced his calling completely, fully aware of the challenges ahead. He showed incredible courage and dedication, all stemming from a deep conviction in his mission and the faithfulness of the God who called him. His example is a powerful reminder that a true divine calling often demands personal sacrifice and a willingness to stay faithful, even when facing severe adversity. This legacy extends far beyond his own lifetime, profoundly influenced not only Jewish religious thought, but also played a massive role in shaping the Christian faith. His messianic prophecies, in particular, were seen by early Christians as direct foreshadowings of Jesus Christ's life and mission. The vision of a suffering servant who would bear the sins of many resonated deeply with the Christian understanding of Jesus' sacrificial death on the cross. Furthermore, His visions of a future kingdom built on peace and justice continue to inspire hope and action in faith communities all over the world. Isaiah's enduring impact is a testament to the timeless power of prophetic words. They transcend cultures and eras, continuing to speak with relevance and urgency to each new generation. Now, let's step into the tumultuous world of ancient Judah, where political schemes and matters of faith were deeply intertwined. A critical episode unfolded involving King Ahaz and the prophet of the Most High. The monarch, a descendant of David's royal line, found himself at a dangerous crossroads, squeezed by external threats and internal doubts. The northern kingdom of Israel had allied with Syria, and together they planned to attack Jerusalem. Their goal was to depose Ahaz and install a puppet king on the throne. Facing this terrifying crisis, the young king wavered. Should he trust in divine protection, as his heritage suggested, or should he seek political alliances with powerful foreign empires, like Assyria? It was in this tense atmosphere of fear and uncertainty that the heavenly spokesperson was sent to confront Ahaz. He brought a message of faith and hope. The encounter between the prophet and the king happened at a very significant location, the end of the aqueduct of the upper pool. On the road to the washer's field, this spot, a vital source of Jerusalem's water supply, was symbolic. Just as the city depended on this water for physical survival, the kingdom's spiritual and political survival now depended on the choice Ahaz was about to make. Would he choose the living water of faith or the stagnant pool of political maneuvering? The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through history. Thanks for watching, and if you found this insightful, please like and subscribe for more. Have you ever faced a moment so terrifying it felt like the world was ending? That's exactly where King Ahaz found himself, standing before the mighty walls of Jerusalem. His kingdom was on the brink of collapse, threatened by powerful enemies. And it was right there, in a simple field, that one of the most incredible prophecies in history unfolded. A divine messenger, the prophet Isaiah, appeared before the trembling king. He wasn't there to talk strategy or politics. He had a simple, yet profound message. Be calm and do not be afraid. He urged Ahaz to trust in God, not in human alliances or military might. He promised that the enemy's plans would crumble. This was a direct call to have faith, even when everything looked hopeless. Seeing the doubt in the king's eyes, the prophet made an astounding offer. Ask the Lord your God for a sign, he said, whether in the deepest depths or in the highest heights. Think about that for a second. God was literally offering tangible proof, a miracle, just to calm a fearful heart and strengthen a wavering faith. It's a beautiful picture of God's willingness to meet us where we are. But Ahaz's reply was shocking. He tried to sound holy, saying, I will not ask. I will not put the Lord to the test. On the surface, it sounds respectful, right? But it was actually a mask for his deep-seated disbelief. He was refusing to commit, avoiding a real relationship with God. He didn't want to sign because he didn't want to have to trust. The prophet's response was swift and sharp. He wasn't just talking to the king anymore. His message was for the entire royal family, the house of David. Is it not enough to try the patience of humans? Will you try the patience of my God also? This was a powerful rebuke, reminding them of their spiritual responsibility. And then came the moment that would echo through eternity. The prophet declared that even though Ahaz refused to ask for a sign, God would provide one anyway. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel. Emmanuel. It means God with us. This prophecy was so much bigger than the immediate crisis Ahaz was facing. Yes, it was a promise of God's presence and protection right then and there. But it pointed to something far greater, a miraculous birth in the distant future that would be the ultimate fulfillment of God, as promised to be with his people. The mention of a virgin conceiving wasn't just a biological marvel. It was a symbol of God's supernatural power breaking into human history in a way no one could have imagined. It signaled a new beginning, a divine intervention that would change everything. The prophecy also gave a short-term promise to comfort the terrified king. Isaiah said that before this promised child was old enough to know right from wrong, the lands of the two kings Ahaz feared so much would be destroyed. This gave immediate assurance that the threat wouldn't last. This amazing prophecy weaves together the present and the future. It shows how God's words can bring comfort in our immediate struggles, while also pointing toward a grand eternal plan. It's a powerful reminder that even when human leaders fail and faith falters, God's purpose will stand, and His promise to be God with us is the ultimate hope for all time. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into these timeless truths. See you next time. The sign of Emmanuel, a name that means God with us, was so much more than just a prophecy for King Ahaz. It was a multi-layered promise of hope, a lifeline thrown into a sea of fear and uncertainty. Imagine being told that amidst the looming shadows of war and invasion, a divine presence would arrive in the most tangible, transformative way possible. God with us wasn't just a catchy name. It was a powerful declaration of divine purpose. It was God's commitment saying, "I will not abandon you even when you lose faith in me." This message of unwavering hope was a beacon not just for the people of that time, but for all future generations who would face their own trials. Now, how did King Ahaz react to this incredible promise? The Bible doesn't spell it out for us, but his actions speak volumes. He didn't fully embrace this message of faith. Instead, he continued to place his trust in political alliances, looking to the mighty empire of Assyria for security. This decision would ultimately have devastating consequences for his kingdom. It's a timeless lesson, isn't it? Do we trust in divine wisdom, or do we lean on our own understanding and human strategies? Ahaz's choice is a stark warning about the dangers of pushing aside divine guidance for what seems like a more practical, but ultimately hollow, solution. But here's the beautiful part. Despite Ahaz's wavering faith, the prophecy of Emmanuel endured. It became a lasting testament to God's faithfulness. For the people of Judah, especially during the dark and difficult times that lay ahead, this promise became a powerful source of hope and expectation. As generations came and went, the promise of a deliverer, born of a virgin, wove itself into the fabric of other messianic prophecies. It created a rich tapestry of anticipation that sustained the people through exile, occupation, and oppression. It was the flame of faith that refused to be extinguished, a constant reminder of a redemptive future. This prophecy also completely revolutionized how people understood God's interaction with humanity. The very idea of God manifesting so intimately, so personally, being born as a helpless child was a radical concept. It challenged every traditional notion of divinity. This concept, the incarnation, where the divine takes on human form, is something Christians later saw fulfilled in the person of Jesus of Nazareth. Think about that for a moment. A single prophecy, given in a moment of national crisis to a faithless king, became a cornerstone for understanding God's ultimate plan of revelation and redemption for all humankind. It shows that God's promises transcend our doubts and fears, echoing through history with a message of hope that can never be silenced. Thanks for watching. If you found this insightful, please like and subscribe for more content. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating story from the Old Testament, one that really gets to the heart of a timeless conflict, faith versus politics. We're talking about King Ahaz and the prophecy of Emmanuel. This story isn't just ancient history. It's a powerful look at the choices leaders make under pressure and how those choices ripple through time. So, let's set the scene. King Ahaz of Judah is in a tough spot. He's facing immense political pressure, with rival kingdoms breathing down his neck. The threat feels real, immediate, and overwhelming. And what does he do? He leans on what he can see and control, starts making alliances and calculating his political moves, looking for a tangible, human solution to his problems. It's a classic case of relying on earthly power instead of divine assurance. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Through the prophet Isaiah, God offers Ahaz a sign, a promise of security rooted in faith. But Ahaz refuses. On the surface, his refusal sounds pious, says he won't put the Lord to the test. But if we look deeper, we see something else at play, a reluctance to fully commit to a path of faith. It's a profound moment that makes us ask, why do we sometimes turn away from signs that could strengthen our belief? Is it pride? Is it fear? Ahaz's choice is a powerful case study in the dangers of separating our practical, political lives from our spiritual convictions. He opted for what he thought was controllable, ignoring the offer of faith-based security. This dilemma, balancing the realities of governance with the principles of faith and ethics is something leaders have wrestled with. Despite Ahaz's lack of faith, the prophecy of Emmanuel, which means God with us, is still given. But it's directed to the entire house of David. This is a crucial detail. It shows that even when a human leader fails, God's promise to the lineage of David remains unshaken. The prophecy reaffirmed the special role of David's throne in the grand divine plan. It pointed toward a future king, a descendant of David, who would perfectly embody justice and godliness. This highlights a recurring theme in the biblical narrative: God's incredible, unwavering faithfulness in the face of human inconsistency and failure. The promise doesn't get canceled just because one person messes up. And here's where the story builds a bridge that spans thousands of years. The prophecy of Emmanuel becomes a vital connection between the Old and New Testaments. For early Christians, this ancient prophecy found its ultimate fulfillment in the birth of Jesus. They saw him as the literal incarnation of God with us. This interpretation didn't just provide a scriptural foundation for their beliefs about Jesus. It also showed how prophecies could find new, profound, and sometimes unexpected meanings in later contexts. The Christian rereading of the Emmanuel prophecy is a perfect example of how sacred texts are living documents, gaining new layers of meaning as they are interpreted by different faith communities across time. So, the story of Ahaz and Emmanuel is much more than just an ancient political drama. It's a deep reflection on faith, free will, and the nature of divine promises. It challenges us to think about how we respond when faced with uncertainty. Do we, like Ahaz, retreat into what feels safe and controllable? Or do we have the courage to trust in a promise that's bigger than our immediate circumstances? It's a question worth pondering. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. See you in the next video. Have you ever felt backed into a corner, facing a crisis that seems completely overwhelming? It's in those exact moments, those personal Ahaz moments, that one of the most powerful promises in history was given. In the middle of political chaos and the threat of invasion, the prophet Isaiah delivered a message that has echoed through centuries: the prophecy of Emmanuel, which means God with us. This wasn't just a comforting phrase. It was a profound statement about the nature of the divine. Challenges the idea of a distant, uninvolved God. Instead, it reveals a God who is intimately present, right here in the thick of our human struggles. It's a message of hope and redemption that cuts through our darkest circumstances, reminding us that we are never truly alone. This promise assures us that even when everything seems to be falling apart, a divine presence is at work, bringing light to the darkness. This promise of Emmanuel wasn't a one-time event. It was part of a much grander vision the prophet was shown, a breathtaking glimpse into a transformed future. Imagine a world where peace isn't just a temporary ceasefire, but the fundamental law of the land. The prophet saw a future where all nations, once rivals, would stream toward one central place. Not for conquest, but for wisdom. In this vision, they say to each other, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord. He will teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths." Think about that, a global pilgrimage for truth, where learning and justice replace conflict and ambition. This wasn't just a pipe dream. It was a divine blueprint for a new world order founded on harmony and righteousness. It says a future where the knowledge of God would cover the earth just as the waters cover the sea. So, who could possibly bring about such a radical transformation? The vision provides an answer, pointing to an extraordinary leader, a messianic figure. He's described as a shoot from the stump of Jesse, a symbol of new life springing from an old, seemingly dead lineage. This ruler wouldn't be just another king. He would be the embodiment of perfect wisdom and justice. The Spirit of the Lord would rest upon him, a spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and reverence for God. He wouldn't judge by what his eyes see or what his ears hear, meaning he'd look past surface-level appearances and biases to see the true heart of matters. He would govern with perfect righteousness, ensuring justice for the poor and fairness for the meek. This vision paints a picture of a leader whose reign brings about a world completely remade. It's a kingdom where the wolf lives with the lamb, the leopard lies down with the goat, and a little child leads them. These aren't just poetic images. They represent the end of all hostility, predation, and fear. It's a world where the very nature of things is changed, where natural enemies become companions. This is the ultimate fulfillment of the promise God with us. It's a future where divine justice and peace aren't just ideals we strive for, but the reality we live in. This ancient prophecy continues to offer incredible hope, reminding us that no matter how chaotic our present seems, a plan for universal peace and perfect justice is already in motion. It's a testament to God's ultimate desire to dwell with us and bring healing to all of creation. Thank you so much for watching. If this message of hope resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these profound truths. See you next time. Upon him, the Spirit would bestow wisdom, understanding, counsel, power, knowledge, and reverence for the Most High. This meant his leadership wouldn't be based on what he saw with his eyes or heard with his ears. Instead, he would rule with deep discernment and true, impartial justice. This vision of a perfect leader was a world away from the flawed, fallible kings the people had experienced. It was a promise of a government that was truly just, righteous, and compassionate. One of the most captivating images in this prophecy is the radical transformation of the natural world itself. The prophet paints a picture where predators and prey live together in perfect harmony. Imagine this: the wolf dwells with the lamb, the leopard lies down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion graze side by side, all of them led by a little child. This beautiful idyllic scene wasn't just about ending conflict between nations. It hinted at a much deeper cosmic restoration. It was like a return to the paradise of creation before everything went wrong. The detail of a small child leading these once ferocious animals really drives home the point. It shows a complete renewal of nature itself, a world where even the most vulnerable are completely and utterly safe. The vision expands on this, describing a land completely free from violence and destruction. "They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain," declared the divine voice. This promise of universal security is about more than just the absence of war. It suggests a fundamental change in human nature itself. The very roots of violence and injustice would be torn out, replaced by a deep, personal, and universal knowledge of the Lord. The prophet uses this incredible imagery. The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Think about that: a complete saturation of divine presence and wisdom, touching every single part of society and creation. At the very heart of this vision of peace is the promise that the ancient divisions and bitter hostilities between nations would finally be healed. The royal descendant, described as the root of Jesse, would rise up and stand as a banner for all peoples. The nations would flock to him, seeking his guidance, and his dwelling place would be glorious. This picture of global unity under the Messiah's leadership stood in stark contrast to the political reality of the prophet's own time, where alliances were weak and war was a constant threat. The vision offered a powerful hope that one day, all of humanity would find a common purpose, a single point of convergence in the worship and obedience of the one true God. This wasn't just a political solution, it was a spiritual one, envisioning a world transformed from the inside out, where peace is not just a treaty, but the very fabric of existence. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these profound visions of hope and renewal. We'll see you in the next video. The vision of a future kingdom of peace wasn't just about treaties between nations. It was a radical reimagining of our world, right down to the very nature of work and the economy. The prophets saw a time when the tools of war would be transformed into instruments of cultivation. Swords, they said, would be beaten into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks. This isn't just about ending conflict. It's a complete shift in human priorities. Imagine all the energy, resources, and ingenuity once poured into destruction being redirected toward life-sustaining, productive activities. This was the vision. An era of unprecedented prosperity and abundance for everyone, born from peace. But this peace couldn't exist without justice. A constant theme in these prophetic messages is the restoration of social justice. In this coming kingdom, the righteous ruler would judge the poor with true justice and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. This powerful promise addressed the deep-seated social injustices the prophets saw all around them. They weren't just dreaming of an ideal, they were foreseeing a lived reality where fairness and equity were guaranteed, especially for the marginalized and oppressed, all under the leadership of a sovereign who embodied divine justice itself. One of the most fascinating parts of this vision is how it describes a total transformation in communication and understanding. The prophet saw a time when the veil that covered all nations would be removed. Think about that for a moment. The barriers of language and culture that have separated humanity for so long would simply vanish. This promise of universal understanding isn't just about preventing misunderstandings or conflicts rooted in cultural differences. It points to a new era of genuine collaboration, mutual learning, and deep connection among all peoples. In this future, our diversity would no longer be a source of division, but a reason for celebration and mutual enrichment. The peace described here is so much more than just the absence of war. It's an active state of flourishing and fulfillment for all of creation. The prophets painted a beautiful picture, a time when every person would sit under their own vine and their own fig tree, with absolutely nothing to fear. This idyllic image represents not only perfect security, but also universal prosperity and deep contentment. It's a future where everyone can enjoy the fruits of their labor in peace, completely free from the constant threats of war, oppression, or scarcity that loomed over the people of that time. It's a world where true rest and satisfaction are finally possible for all. This incredible transformation even extends to the physical geography of the land itself. The prophets spoke of a time when valleys would be raised up and every mountain and hill made low. Rough ground would become level and rugged places a smooth plain. This poetic language might suggest physical changes to the landscape, but it also carries a powerful symbolic meaning. It represents the removal of all obstacles, both physical and spiritual, that stand in our way. It paints a picture of a world where the path to a divine presence is made clear and accessible for everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from. Thank you for watching. If this vision resonates with you, consider subscribing for more reflections. Have you ever wondered what a truly perfect world would look like? Imagine a place where all the barriers that separate us, both physically and spiritually, just disappear. A world where you could have a direct personal connection with the divine. This isn't just a fantasy. It's a powerful vision that has inspired people for thousands of years. This vision spoke of a new heaven and a new earth, a place so transformed that the old ways of suffering and separation would be completely forgotten. Think about this. The prophet saw a time where someone who lives to be 100 years old would still be considered young. It's almost like a child. This incredible promise of a long, full life harks back to ancient stories of early humanity, suggesting a return to a more ideal state, a life lived closer to our Creator's original design. But it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. The vision promised an end to needless suffering. The sounds of weeping and cries for help would vanish from the streets. Can you picture that? Society filled with lasting joy, where deep, painful sorrow is a thing of the past? It's a radical vision of a world where our quality of life is fundamentally improved, free from the anxieties and pains that so often weigh us down. This isn't just about personal happiness. It's about a community healed and whole, and this healing extends to the entire planet. The prophecy described the deserts and wastelands bursting into life, rejoicing and blooming with flowers. This powerful imagery of ecological renewal isn't just about beautiful scenery. It symbolizes the complete restoration of all creation. It paints a picture of a time when the earth itself joyfully responds to this new era of peace, reflecting a restored harmony between humanity and the natural world. It reminds us that our well-being is deeply connected to the health of our planet, a message that feels more relevant today than ever. The vision culminates in an incredible scene of global unity. Imagine people from all nations, all cultures, traveling together to a single place to celebrate, not in conflict, but in shared gratitude and worship. This represents the ultimate fulfillment of a divine purpose for humanity, a worldwide community united in reverence and joy. It's a future where the divisions that have plagued us for so long, religious, cultural, national, are finally overcome, and everyone joins together in a single beautiful symphony of praise. This grand vision of a kingdom of peace was more than just a dream. It was a beacon of hope in dark and difficult times. It offered people a perspective that went far beyond their immediate struggles, pointing toward a future where justice, peace, and a divine presence would reign supreme. Even though this future seemed distant, the vision profoundly shaped the faith and hope of generations to come. It inspired them to work, to pray, and to strive for the coming of this glorious kingdom. Through the centuries, this promise of a transformed world has continued to echo, offering comfort and motivation to all who long for a better future. Amid the shadows of our own struggles and uncertainties, these ancient words shine a light. They are a balm for our weary hearts, a powerful reminder that a world of peace, justice, and universal harmony is not just a possibility, but a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Thank you for watching. If this vision of hope resonates with you, please like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and share it with others who might need a little inspiration today. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are rediving into one of the most powerful and enduring messages of hope found in ancient texts, the prophecy of restoration. This wasn't just a simple prediction about returning to a homeland. It was a grand, sweeping vision of spiritual, social, and even cosmic renewal. Imagine being told that not only will the ruins be rebuilt, but that broken relationships will be mended, and the glory of a sacred city will shine brighter than ever before. This was the message that sustained a people through their darkest hours, and it's a message that still resonates with so much power today. The prophecy begins with an incredible image of God as the great restorer. The words "comfort, comfort my people" echoed from the heavens, signaling an end to a period of hardship and the dawn of a new age of grace. The promise was to level mountains, raise valleys, and make crooked paths straight. Now, this wasn't just about landscaping. It was a powerful metaphor for removing every obstacle, both physical and spiritual, that stood in the way of the people's return, not just to their land, but to their connection with the divine. It's a testament to the idea that no matter how far something has fallen, it can be reborn into something even more magnificent. The prophet foresaw a new heaven and a new earth. This wasn't just a promise of hope for a single group of exiles. It was a universal message of hope for all of creation, a glimpse into a future where everything is made new. For those living in exile, it offered the tangible hope of returning home. But it also offered something much deeper: the promise of a restored relationship. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into these incredible stories. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever felt broken, like the world itself is groaning under some immense weight? The ancient prophets of Israel felt this too. They didn't just see a broken people, they saw all of creation yearning for release from corruption. But within this vision of a fractured world, a powerful promise emerged, a promise of total restoration. This wasn't just about rebuilding a city, it was about rebuilding humanity itself. The prophets saw a future where the marginalized would be brought to the center. They spoke of a time when the blind would see, the deaf would hear, and the lame would leap for joy. This wasn't just flowery language, it was a promise of holistic healing. A vision of a world where every single person, regardless of their physical condition, could fully participate in life. Imagine a society with no barriers, where those once cast aside are not just included but honored. This was the radical future they saw, and this incredible vision didn't stop at the borders of one nation. The prophets declared that this restoration was for everyone. They saw a future where people from all nations would stream towards God. Divine, the divine voice declared, will be called a house of prayer for all nations. This completely shattered the idea that God's love was exclusive. It was a radical, universal invitation, suggesting God's ultimate plan was to welcome all of humanity into one family. This message of universal inclusion is just as powerful today as it was thousands of years ago. But what about the invisible wounds? The trauma and pain that linger long after the crisis has passed? The prophets understood this deeply. They spoke of a God who would bind up the wounds of his people and heal their injuries. This is a deeply therapeutic idea. It acknowledges the collective trauma a community can suffer and promises a healing that reaches into the very soul of a nation. The vision offered hope that the scars of the past wouldn't define their future. Instead, those scars would become testaments to divine grace and restorative power. It's a profound message that our deepest pains can be transformed. So, how could such a deep transformation happen? The key was a renewed relationship with the divine. The prophets spoke of a new covenant, a new agreement. But this time, the law wouldn't be written on stone tablets that could be broken or forgotten. Instead, God would write his law directly on the hearts of the people. Think about that for a moment. This wasn't about external rules. It was about an internal transformation. It signified a shift from obedience based on duty to a relationship based on love and deep personal connection. This internalization of divine will promised a relationship with God that was more intimate and authentic than ever before. This promise of a new heart and a new spirit was the very core of the restoration. It wasn't about simply returning to the way things were. It was about becoming something entirely new. The vision was of a community so deeply connected to God that their actions would naturally flow from a place of love and righteousness. It's a promise that still echoes today, offering hope for a renewed world, a renewed community, and a renewed self, all rooted in a relationship of profound love and grace. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these timeless truths. Imagine a relationship where you didn't need a rule book. But between humanity and the very earth we live on. For a people facing scarcity and struggle, this was a radical vision of hope. But how would all this happen? At the center of this incredible promise of restoration stands a mysterious and powerful figure, an anointed leader, a servant of the Lord. This leader is described in a fascinating way. On one hand, he is incredibly gentle, someone who wouldn't break a bruised reed or snuff out a smoldering wick. This points to a leadership style rooted in compassion, mercy, and care for the vulnerable. He wouldn't crush the broken or extinguish the faintest flicker of hope. He would nurture it. Don't mistake this gentleness for weakness. This same figure is also portrayed as a mighty liberator, a champion of justice who would establish fairness across the earth and act as a guiding light for all nations. This messianic figure became the ultimate symbol of hope, blending compassionate leadership with world-changing power. He was the focal point for a people's deepest longings for both national freedom and spiritual renewal, a steady beacon in times of darkness and oppression. This promise of a leader who perfectly balances strength and gentleness has captivated hearts for centuries, and this transformation would touch every part of life, even how people worship. The prophets challenged the idea that religion was just about external rituals. They asked a powerful question: what is true worship? The answer was revolutionary. It wasn't about fasting for show, but about fasting from injustice. True worship was about actively working to loose the chains of injustice, to untie the heavy burdens people carry, to set the oppressed free, and to break every yoke of oppression. This completely redefined religious practice. It declared that you cannot separate your spiritual life from your ethical actions. True devotion had to be expressed through social justice and deep compassion for the marginalized. The vision was for a world where ritual and real-world righteousness were perfectly intertwined. But the vision didn't stop at personal or national transformation. It expanded to imagine a completely new international order, with Jerusalem at its heart. The prophets envisioned a future where nations and their leaders would stream towards this renewed city, not as conquerors, but as seekers of wisdom and light. This wasn't about one nation dominating others. It was about a shared pilgrimage towards a common center of divine truth. It's this vision of global unity with people from all corners of the earth coming together in peace, offered a breathtaking alternative to the endless cycle of conflict and empire building that dominated the ancient world. It was a promise that one day, the entire world would be drawn into this great story of restoration and peace. Thank you for watching. If this story resonates with you, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into these timeless visions. Have you ever wondered what true power looks like? For ancient Israel, trapped in exile, the prophets painted a breathtaking picture of the future. It wasn't about conquering armies or vast empires. Instead, they saw a world where nations would willingly travel to the holy city of Jerusalem, bringing their wealth and treasures. It's not out of fear, but as an act of homage to the God of Israel. This wasn't just a spiritual pilgrimage, it was a radical shift in global power. Imagine a world where influence isn't measured by military might or economic dominance, but by being the center of divine truth and worship. That was the vision for Jerusalem, a beacon of spiritual light for all humanity. But this promise of restoration went far beyond politics and wealth. It touched the very heart of creation, promising healing and reconciliation. The prophet Isaiah famously spoke of a time when the wolf and the lamb will graze together. This beautiful poetic image isn't just about animals getting along. It's a powerful metaphor for overcoming the deepest human conflicts and ancient hatreds. It points to a future of unprecedented social harmony, where old enemies find common ground. This wasn't some far-off utopian dream. It was a divine promise of a fundamental change in how we relate to one another. The vision was for more than just peaceful coexistence. It was about building genuine community and deep unity among people who were once hopelessly divided. Now, think about the most profound aspect of this restoration. It culminates in the promise of God's manifest and continuous presence. The prophets envisioned a time when the glory of the Lord would be so visible that, as the text says, all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our God. This language speaks of a direct, universal encounter with the divine, one that transcends all previous religious experiences. It suggests a future where the veil between heaven and earth is lifted, and God's presence becomes a tangible, constant reality in our daily lives. No more separation, no more distance, just an intimate, unbreakable connection with the Creator. It's a vision of a world completely saturated with the divine. So what does all this mean for us today? This incredible promise of restoration offered a powerful perspective of hope that looked beyond the immediate circumstances of suffering and despair. It was an invitation for the people of Israel, and for us, to lift our eyes from our present struggles and gaze toward a glorious future prepared by God. This vision of total renewals, spiritual, social, and even ecological, served as a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. It inspired people to hold on, to persevere in faith, and to keep the flame of expectation burning brightly. Ultimately, the promise of restoration wasn't just a prophecy about a distant future. It was, and still is, a call to active faith and hope in the here and now. It invites every single generation to participate in the divine work of redemption and renewal. It challenges us to ask, how can we be agents of that reconciliation? How can we help build that community? How can we live in a way that reflects the coming reality of God's kingdom on earth? This ancient vision is not just a story from the past, it's a living hope for our future. Thanks for watching, and if this message resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content that explores these timeless truths. We've reached the end of our amazing journey through the life and prophecies of Isaiah, a figure who truly transcended his time and continues to inspire millions around the world. But the big question remains: how can we apply these ancient teachings to our modern lives? Think about it. How many times have you felt completely overwhelmed by the injustices you see in the world, just like Isaiah did in his time? Or how often have you wished for a radical change in society, similar to the powerful visions of peace and restoration that the prophet shared? Isaiah's message challenges us not to be passive spectators of history, but to be active agents of transformation. So, how about starting today to make a real difference in your own circle of influence? It could be something as simple as standing up for someone being treated unfairly at work. Or it could be as bold as starting a community project to help those in need right where you live. And what about Isaiah's vision of universal peace? I know, it might seem a bit utopian, but what if we started building it on a smaller scale, right here in our own lives? What if you took the first step to reconcile with that family member you have unspoken to in years? Or what if you made an effort to understand and respect someone whose opinions are radically different from your own? The promise of restoration that Isaiah proclaimed doesn't have to be just some distant hope. We can start living it today. We can restore broken relationships, care for our environment, and fight against social injustices. Every single small action in this direction brings us a little closer to that glorious vision. Isaiah teaches us that true, lasting change begins in the heart. So, I have to ask you, are you willing to let these ancient words transform your life, starting today? Are you ready to be an Isaiah in your own context, proclaiming hope and working for justice in your community? The challenge is set, the choice is yours. You can close this video and continue your life exactly as before, or you can decide right here and now to be part of the change that Isaiah envisioned millennia ago. And remember, this journey through Isaiah's life and message is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore and learn. If you want to continue diving into the rich waters of biblical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming videos where we keep uncovering the treasures of the scriptures and discovering how they can transform our lives today. Until the next video, may Isaiah's words continue to echo in your thoughts and inspire your actions. Thanks for watching.